Yo, yo, yo. It's your boy Oso Loso, co-host Chase and Summer. We got a special guest. Somebody we want to highlight as a risk taker, Josh Sikkema, owner of Black Pigeon Studios and young mogul. Young mogul.
Thank you.
So, yeah, how you feeling today?
I'm good. It's a little cold.
Yes.
LA, when I left, it was like 78 degrees. So, where I live like right in Marina Del Rey. So it's like
beautiful,
it's a beautiful area. But it's good to come back and, get cultured a little bit again.
Absolutely.
Some of the weather.
Yeah, about to say, you missing us? You missing us?
I come back obviously for family and to see friends, but I absolutely love it here. So it's the energy that within the small but mighty creative community that I love to see thrive. Obviously, I could do without the snow, though.
Oh, man, can't we all?
100%. So, for the people who don't know you, we like to start it off with, who are you? If somebody off the street, was like, oh, what do you do? Story.
Yeah.
Who's Josh Sikkema?
It's hard to limit in one,
Oh, no, however you want to define yourself.
Right now, director, producer. I would say director before anything, obviously. That's what I'm known for. But I've created a studio with my two other business partners, Johnny Ray and Thomas Blunt.
Shout out Johnny Ray, Thomas Blunt.
Yeah, shout out.
Shout out to them for sure.
But yeah, outside of that, just a creative. I'm kind of dabbling in just about everything. So from show development to films, television, and creating the studio here was a real honor when we got the time to do it. And so yeah, I love being an advocate for anything and everything creative.
Yeah,
fire.
You want me to go ahead?
Oh,
all right. Well, so I'll say, tell us about your time. You're born, raised here in Grand Rapids. Go ahead and tell us about that and how that whatever shaped you here led to you going to LA.
Yeah, I think a lot of creatives, we want to make the jump, right?
Absolutely.
So I think it started with Wood TV 8. I started working there when I was 19 years old, and then it kind of moved on to doing little music videos here and there for the local community. And then I moved up into, obviously you kind of get your footing as a creative, right? So
yes, sir.
You have to kind of grow that bone. That's not something that you got to flex that muscle. That muscle doesn't come right away. So it's a lot of, $100, $500 music videos here, there, and everywhere. I started with, Willie the Kid and La the Dark Man.
Ooh, shout out Willie the Kid with La the Dark Man. I was just listening to Willie the other day.
And Cello, obviously.
Shout out Cello.
Shout out Cello, CYC.
We went to Vegas. He was the first one to take me to Vegas. And then A&T, Ant, we worked a lot and we traveled, and they become some of my greatest friends here, and ultimately helped, further on in the career. I still talk to them very often. So, it's one of those things where you start working in the local community, the local scene, and then you start to hopefully spread your wings a little bit. And always you remember where you're at, where you come from.
Absolutely.
And at least it's my mission and what I believe to grow for the next community, the next generation that's coming in of creatives. So that's kind of what the pursuit is with Black Pigeon, is more to provide what I know and pass that along, because what is it if you guys aren't growing with me?
Right.
So I think rather than fleeing right away, I think that was the idea with Black Pigeon is, obviously go away, take what I learned from LA and beyond and bring it back and apply some of those principles here.
Amazing.
I love it.
So you mentioned cello, and I know in the earlier days you were doing a lot of music videos. Uh-huh. When did you decide to pivot and start doing the documentaries or short films?
Yeah.
Really getting your feet wet in the actual production world with directing.
Yeah. So I worked at a subsidiary of RCA Records. I worked at Bystorm Entertainment.
Who ran Bystorm?
Mark Pitts.
Yeah, he signed J. Cole to Rock Nation.
Yep. J. Cole and Chris Brown. They had everybody legendary on that label. So I started there. That was kind of the music route. After Wood TV, I came out to LA, kind of grinded for the first 3 years, and ultimately that third year led to a single by this kid, Luke Christopher, called A Lot to Learn. And we amassed, I think we're a little over 400 million on Spotify.
Wow.
We were out streaming the Chainsmokers at one time, which is pretty wild.
That's crazy.
And it was my first like real music video, right? And so we got, that took me on tour, that got me the job, and
Wow.
It's kind of led me through the music career that I've had. It's film in music, but you gotta, that's your in, right? As a creative videographer or, music video director. But yeah, I mean, it's like the music scene, that component has always been there. Like, I'm not musically inclined at all, but I just knew how to hold a camera, and I was at the right place at the right time, right? I mean, I feel like that's how it's always been. And then, so then the transition is, you asked me why, how does that happen? Well, it happens because, music videos can only take you so far, and they expire, right?
Absolutely.
So this kind of goes hand in hand with the Black Pigeon mission is to give creatives the power, right? So, all right, if you're sick of, shooting videos every day, or, the grind, I mean, it can get tiresome. So I think building IP for yourself, right? Like I think I got to a point where I started building careers for so many different people, which I was really, blessed with. I have a #1 record with Stokely that I shot, plenty of videos with Maya, legendary artist, and Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis. I worked with a lot of legendary people and assisted in building. And my business partner John and I did Ro Timmy, right when he had Love Rhythm, and that did Gold, and that was our first music video we did together as a directing duo. So I think we get to the point where we build so many great things for other people. It's like you want to build something for yourself.
Absolutely. I can agree with that. Just rewinding to Stokely.
Yeah.
How was that? Tell me how, how was that produced? How did you, they reached out to you? Did you reach out to them?
No, yeah. So really cool. My introduction to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis was through Maya, which is pretty legendary, introduction.
Absolutely legendary.
Could I have a sidebar real quick? I was telling him yesterday, I said, this is really crazy that's happening, because I'm a music producer, right?
Uh-huh.
And the album I've been listening to all year is Janet Jackson, Velvet Rope.
Oh, yeah.
And, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis did, like, all her stuff. So I'm like, yo, that's crazy that this dude know it. I'm like, yo, this is insane. So, yeah, that's so I just
shout out Uncle Jam.
Shout out to gods.
So that was amazing. He, they gave me the introduction. They had Stokely on the legendary Flight Time Productions. So, it only made sense. We had this chemistry. He's from Minneapolis, so it was just a great bonding experience between us. We got to work on, I shot that first record that went #1 on the Billboard charts, and then he was like, let's do 3 more. And ultimately, the third one that we did was actually featuring Wale, and we shot it at Black Pigeon. It was the first music video I got to shoot in the first iteration of Black Pigeon Studios.
Damn.
And we flew everybody in because...
I was just about to ask you that. How did that go?
Yeah. So what I did was I was trying to leverage the studio, right, any way I could, because I couldn't get anybody, like productions would... We'll backtrack real quick. All the productions in West Michigan, majority, are all doing their own thing, which is great. Not how I would do things, but that's how they do things. So it's amazing. So the studio we built was to kind of like bring everybody together. So to get people to kind of understand that, I kind of had to put my foot in it and start doing it. So Jam and Lewis, they actually had a studio in Minneapolis, right? The legendary Flight Time studio. So they used to fly everybody in. So I was like, oh, cool. Like, I'll do this music video for cheap and fly everybody in, and that'll be my leverage, right? I'll have the notoriety of shooting that video in there. And it did really well on the Billboard charts, actually. We shot at Lantern Coffee Shop and a couple studios, and our studio, obviously, when we had it. So, you get to the point where you want something so bad, you're willing to leverage anything and everything for it. So,
that's big.
It's like what we was talking about yesterday with Oso is weighing out, payment versus opportunity.
Sure.
And, it's crazy how it full circle already.
And you're going to keep leveraging that. That never, I think people have there's this common misconception that you get to a point where you don't have to do that anymore. It's like, no, it's just the stakes get higher. So you always got to leverage that. And I mean, I'm doing it to this day. So.
Fire. Amazing. How did it feel, TMZ, you pictures with Snoop Dogg.
Oh, yeah,
the
I'll
Stokely
tell you,
video.
I feel like it might help people to hear the story. So Stokely had this song that he really wanted to do, like this 80s, 90s bounce, like roll bounce kind of feel, right? So, basically you have this back and forth with Snoop and him. Snoop absolutely loves Stokely, like loves him. As do he's one of the top 10 vocalists in my book, and he plays drums and he plays guitar. I mean, this man is incredible.
Musician.
Yes, and he's the most humble human being. He's incredible. So basically, he presented this idea of like, hey, I want to do something with the skating rink. And I was like, perfect. So I built a treatment on it. And just like a lot of, times we get in the grind and start doing a concept for a music video and it's too big, right? So kind of, I had to scale it back, right? Yeah. So we scale it back, find a roller rink, and I'm like, cool, let's go. And like 3 months go by and nothing. And at the time I was working with Baron Davis, NBA All-Star, and Baron had a media company. So he has this cool thing where he goes out and he'll low ride with Snoop and Wiz and Exhibit, and they go from Mel's in the Valley to Mel's in West Hollywood off Sunset. So I'm with Baron. Baron's got this old school ice cream truck on hydraulics, and so we pull up to Mel's and everybody's there. I mean, it's like it was amazing. I don't know if they still do it every Sunday. I think it's Sundays during the summer.
Gotcha.
So we're in Mel's parking lot. And, Snoop's coming, everybody's talking about Snoop. So Exhibit's there, Wiz is there, we're all hanging out.
Fire.
And it's like LA's very communal like that. There's no, like, we don't treat, like, celebrities like they're celebrities. They're like they're everybody else.
They're the neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, we're like, okay, we're going to split off. Snoop's going to meet us down at the Mel's off West Hollywood. So we're cruising. I'm just like, man, I know if Snoop is there, and I got this idea for this roller rink video with Stokely. Like, why don't I just bring it up to him there, right? So we get to Mel's. He pulls up, and I'm not trying to be on his bumper right away about it, right? Right. So they're all hanging out. We're chilling in the parking lot, and they like close off Mel's parking lot, which is really cool. So everybody's like open and chilling, and everything's great. So anyway, Snoop goes to like hit his blunt. And he's checking out like Baron's ice cream truck, and he turns around, and it's COVID during that time, so I was like, oh, let me get Stokely on the phone, and I'll just put it right in front of his face and be like, it's a bold move, but it's got to get done, right?
Right.
So like I FaceTime Stokely, he picks up as soon as I put the phone in Snoop's face, and Snoop kind of was like at first like, back up, cuz. Like but then he, which is really cool because TMZ has this moment, which I posted on my Instagram. They have the moment of Snoop, and he's going to take a hit, and he chokes on his blunt smoke because he sees Stokely on the phone, which was like a legendary moment. And then the rest is history. We shot the video 2 weeks after, and the cool thing is everybody was like, Snoop's going to be late. He's going to require all that. Like, he didn't. The minute he walked in, his boy Kev loves Grand Rapids, he was just like naming all these random teams. He was like the Grand Rapids Griffins. And like, he would come back around and like, crazy. He knew all the local, he was like the Whitecaps. Like, I was like, how do you know? Crazy. Yeah. And obviously they tour here a lot. So
that's true.
So anyway, right off the bat, we got to a great start. He was an hour early and he stayed for 8 hours, and they actually sent a thank you card after the shoot, which that's a testament to like what the set was.
Yes.
Amazing. But I had the idea of like, let me get his low riding crew involved. That'll keep him here. Right. Let me make sure he's got an assistant, somebody to roll his blunts, something like that to keep him there.
He do got one.
So,
man, that's amazing.
That's crazy, man.
And that's like anything, right? Like if you want to get something done, you have to be like incredibly persistent about it, right? And especially like the platform that you guys have going on, I love it because risk takers. I mean, without taking that risk, that wouldn't have gotten done.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know, as with
Perfectly
anything
defined.
that I've done. So
Yes.
yeah, I love it.
All right, so let's talk about mindset to go from Grand Rapids to LA and then to thrive in LA, right? For anybody that would want to take that risk, like what would you say is some things that from a mental standpoint, because a lot of people don't think about that. They just think about physical action, but really it all starts right here. What are some things that you would say, maybe there's some trials and tribulations you went through along the way that helped morph you to be able to thrive as you continue to move forward and progress in your career?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's loaded, right?
Yeah.
I would say, you know, go if you do want to go out, and I'm not saying you have to. A lot of the stuff that I'm working on, like the studio legislation, things that I'm doing, I want to keep creatives here in Michigan. You know, Hollywood's changed, right? So you don't have to. The model is kind of broken up now, where you can have your own little Hollywood in different pockets. You know, it could be in Austin, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia. It could be anywhere. So it could be Grand Rapids, Michigan, right? So, you know, I would say go in with the mindset, LA's big city, right? But they are very open and collaborative. It's a little bit more political, so you have to understand where you're at, be aware of things. But the cool thing about LA is you have to deal with every single person, every single kind of person, right? You have to deal with them all. And I think being a humble, kind, open person that just wants to get things done, I mean, yeah, that'll take you a long way. And just being a genuine person. There's like this saying, like, when the Michigan kids come out to LA, it's like they get all the work because, you know, we're good, humble people.
That's crazy. That's dope to know, though.
And we're trustworthy, right? So, you know, obviously just if you go into a place, whatever place I go into, I treat it with reverence, right? So as long as you're reverent to what's existing and you start to kind of, you know, see how things are moving, you know, you pop in where you can, right? I like to just solve problems. So if I got something that somebody else needs, I can provide a good or a service. There we go. You know what I mean? We can make it happen. So, and that's just like networking 101, right?
Yeah.
So definitely going out with a strong mindset, willpower. I mean, I'm going on a decade out in LA. So, you know, it's definitely not I think it's an underplayed feat, to be honest with you. Like to not only, like the word you use, thrive, like to not only survive, but to thrive is a whole different animal. So I will be celebrating. I've never celebrated a year in LA, like, you know, like actually celebrating being there. But I'm going on a decade in May, and I think I will like actually celebrate that.
That's dope.
I think that's just like
you
you know, it's a
deserve that.
milestone, right?
Definitely deserve that.
You know, you go broke and then you work your way back up, and then the network gets, you know, and then half the people move away, and you know, it's a moving business. So, but it's definitely a place like Los Angeles is so beautiful. I'll probably never want to leave. I mean, I love my area. Where else can you get? You know, let's not talk about Hollywood. Let's talk about like region wise. Like where can you get? You know, you got Mexico 2.5 hours south, and 2.5 hours north. You have the mountains. You know, it's like it's incredible.
3.5 hours, you got Vegas.
You got Vegas, so, and then you got the water right next to you.
Yep.
So it's such a beautiful area, and I'm just very, very thankful for my journey, for taking me to leading me to LA.
Absolutely. So kind of rewind a little bit, working with Michigan legislature. Talk about how your team, working on bridging the gap from Michigan to Hollywood.
Yeah, so my co-director, Johnny Ray, is from Detroit, and so we created the directing duo that we are, and we're going to start rolling out more stuff that's more personality forward soon, some content, so look out for that. But we met just by happenstance at LA Fitness in the Valley, and we crossed paths, and he was wearing all Detroit gear. I was wearing like a Grand Rapids shirt and, and a Detroit hat, and he was working out. I wasn't really. I was just pretending to pick up some weight. But like from there, we were best friends, and to this day, I'm gonna ring in the new year with him. We do a cold plunge in his pool. He turns the heater off in his pool, and then we do a cold plunge at midnight, which is a cool little thing to start the year. But that's my family now. So that's kind of how that started. The Bridging the Gap movement is his grandfather had the first black FM station in the South.
Wow.
So I like that's always been in his bloodline, and that always resonated with me. So I thought that was a cool way for us to start a studio together. And you know, he's from Detroit. I'm from Grand Rapids. I don't know if a lot of people know outside of Michigan, but that's even a bridge that needs to be gapped.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So I think there's multiple missions within the Bridge the Gap. You know, it's not only Detroit to Grand Rapids. It's, you know, a black man, a white man coming together, and then Hollywood to Michigan. You know, there's multiple different angles in that. So
absolutely, man. That's amazing. I want to say that's amazing,
right.
man.
It's like, where do you go?
Because like living in Grand Rapids, and I'm also in the creative space for do photography, videography.
Mm-hmm.
I oftentimes have to go out to LA a bunch of times, LA, Vegas, just to give some consistent work. Get some work that actually push me up a step. Sometimes in Grand Rapids, people want to sleep on the city, but we got a lot of talent here. I mean, look at you.
Thank you.
Huge amount of talent. You went out to LA, and not many people, once they leave, they try to do something for the city.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. So I just definitely want to give you your flowers.
I mean, if I could, well, no, I appreciate that. I received that, but I also know there's incredible talent. And one thing I want creatives that are watching this to know is that, you might not understand this right now, but if you're in my position, all of the stories that were amazing were right in front of me the entire time. Right in front of me the entire time. And I think there's this preconceived notion that you have to go out to LA to validate your ideas, or you have to be in New York to move fast. Like, you don't, and yeah, obviously it opens up opportunity. I'm not naive to that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Trust me, there's a reason why I'm in LA, right? Even though that my version of Hollywood and what I was accustomed to when I first came in has broken up since. It's opened and leveled the playing field for just about everybody to have a voice. And I think it's more accessible than ever, especially what you guys are doing with this podcast, to tell your narrative, right? To tell your story of risk-taking. And that is, this dialogue, think about 5-10 years ago, wouldn't even happen. And so it's even, it's even morphed into this. So yeah, man, like, I love LA for what it is. I love the region, I think, more. And I love the people. But I love Michigan because it's full of people with talent and hunger. And it's just like, look, I'm sick of stories being shot in Atlanta when they're Detroit or they're, West Michigan stories. It's like Michigan looks like Michigan. Mm-hmm. Like Michigan doesn't look like Atlanta. So the stories are here. Somebody told me a long time ago that every story actually is connected to Michigan. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And we just have so much character. We have so many great people that, musicians, athletes, filmmakers, writers, people that are from here that shaped this and who we are. So I definitely love to champion Michigan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell us about that moment that you first knew, like, video was going to be the medium that of choice. What was that first moment where it's like, no, I got to do that?
Yeah, the first moment was, I think, in high school. Like, I've always had a camera around when I was a kid. I was always picking up my family's, like, little high-8 video camera that we had and doing, like, little stupid videos. But I think in high school, when I was just kind of like, I got nothing. Like, I'm just going to be honest. I'm not talented at anything else. I mean, I'm good at networking and talking, I think. Yep. I'm good at that, and socializing, which can be a pro or a con, depending on how you look at it. Yes, sir. But, like, I don't have any other asset to give the world. Like, it's literally it. So I think that helps. Mm-hmm. It's a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing because I know not a lot of people have that quick direction right off the rip. Some have to go find it. Some people have to go to college to get it refined. But I just knew. I knew from day one. And it was high school, because everybody was starting to, like, and I'm not academically smart, right? So they were getting great grades and, getting accepted to colleges, and I'm going, it's GRCC or bust. Which nothing wrong with CC. But, they all had great aspirations. I was working at Little Caesars, and I was just kind of like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. but I do know there's something with this video thing that I can do. There's a message I got to get out internally, and it's worked out since.
Was there like a movie yourself that you saw, or was there something that you did, like, or was it just a culmination of like, I just always had this camera?
Well, it's like, I'll be honest with you, it's gratification that I get from the people that are impacted by my work. I think when they see it, it's that like moment where they're like, you did something great. And I'm just like, hey, I'm all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, it's like, it's a weird feeling when you like, you're just out here. Like, to be honest, people don't talk about this. The weirdest thing to me is like getting paid for something that I just made out of thin air. Like, it's such a cool, it's like, and when you get paid a lot. I remember the first time like I got handed like a really big budget, and it wasn't necessarily just for me. It was for, the artist or the, the agency or whatever. But when I got that first like big check, I was like, wow, like, okay, like my vision, I can steer the ship, and like they trust me with this. Amazing. Like, I don't know if they know what they're getting themselves into, but no, it was cool. It was a cool feeling when I first had that. But yeah, it was high school, the aha moment when everybody's got a that fork in the road, when everybody's got to figure it out. I think that's where it was. So
to backtrack a little bit, you said it was video or nothing. You really didn't have anything else. Do you think not having because me and Chase talk a lot about plan Bs. With you not having a plan B, do you think that made you go harder on what you're doing right now?
Yeah, I think, like I grew up in a good home. We didn't, we weren't the poorest, but we also didn't have money. So my parents couldn't send me to college. And so I think it like my stepdad, I get it from him. I get the drive and the hunger from him. And so I think it was instilled in me, thank God, from him. And I know how to work hard, right? So even if I'm not I don't think I'm the greatest creative. I think I'm an okay director. I think I have a lot of room to grow. I think because I have a lot of room to grow, that I think I will have my opportunity to be great. Nice. I hope it's with my co-director, because that's really, I think he's magnificent. I think he's an even better writer. And I'm not a writer at all. But, I think it's just like owning up to that. Like, I think because I'm such a hustler, and that's what makes me my it factor. Right?
Love that. So, I love that.
Yeah.
So when building a team, say, you just told us about you got something big upcoming.
Yeah.
When you bring in a lot of strangers together, how does that pregame talk go in order for everybody to be on the same page, comfortability? What are you doing to make sure that, all of these bits and pieces come together?
Yeah, that's a good question. It depends in different things, because I'm doing documentaries and TV series and film here pretty soon. I think it's different on every set, right? Like music videos was easy because I could assemble the team. I was pretty familiar with them. But, that's something I had to grow, and I think at the end of the day, it was people just like, people got to make a living, right? So they're like, hey, 100%. Can I jump on your set? Right. And then you grow a liking, but you build your team. And I think it's people that see the same mission. So I think being open to sharing your mission, right, and being outspoken. I wear the Bridge the Gap theme on my sleeve, right? I'm unapologetically me. I'm from Michigan. Everybody knows who's in LA. Literally every person I work with can tell you exactly where I'm from, and so by doing that, I think it shows people that I'm a leader, I hope, right? I'm a good leader, and that I'm going to lead you into something that's worthwhile, right? I haven't burnt out yet, I think I've shown a pretty good track record. I'm pretty hard on myself, but I think I've shown a good track record of always having upward trends. Even if it was a studio and it closed, it was a sidestep, right? So that me coming back to Grand Rapids, even though I still was living in LA, I was living out of a hotel, but like that was a sidestep that I hit with my brothers. That it was no backtrack, and really what I was trying to do. Sorry, I got to get this off my chest.
Go ahead.
I haven't told it before, but really, like what I was trying to do is, and I want the production companies that are here to know, like, with AI and everything that's coming in, like the commercial content is going to start to shrink, right? Which is majority of what is here is commercial content. As that shrinks, the jobs are going to get lower, obviously, right? And so, you can keep doing job to job. I don't think that's the way. I think having creative control of your IP, I've preached that from day one. You know, that's what you need to have. So what I would love to see is more storytelling here. And the only way to do that, really, and it's hard, but you have to just do it for each other. You have to be like, yo, your script is dope. Let's go shoot it. Yo, I love the way you edit. Can you edit my next film? Like, doing it as a community is going to be the only way, because we don't see it here so often. That's why nobody does it. You know, and nobody knows the path to acquisition. How do I get it into distribution? How do I sell? You know, where do I go with it? You know, there's so many avenues nowadays to have it done. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just like pushing, you know, learning, and it's a culmination of 10 years of me being in LA and knowing what they're doing and being like, hey, we can do it here, you know.
Amazing. So speaking of AI, a few weeks ago I had a meeting with an AI company,
Okay.
And they wanted to pretty much, you know, license a bunch of my work in order to, you know, build AI when, you know, waterfalls and, you know, stuff like that. Have you been approached, or is that something that you would think about doing, or are you kind of against the AI wave?
I think, well, I use AI right now, Canva AI, to do all our decks, our pitch decks. Nice. I use it in pre-production stages. Part of me does feel guilty when I'm like, this is something I would pay somebody to do, right? So I think it's, look, you have to accept it's here. And it's not, we talk about the creative field because all of a sudden you're touching our babies. Like, listen, it's been in every single field. It's completely nailed, you know, the U.S. Postal Service and UPS and FedEx, and it's automation and engineering. It's in the factories. Like, AI is everywhere. So I think creatives take it to heart, right? Because you know, you can't rip out our soul and, you know, start telling soulless stories, right?
I felt like a sellout.
Yeah, no. So
but I didn't do it. But
I was about to say, you never tell me if you did or not.
No, so I've been integrating it, and I think there's ways that we can look at. We can stop looking at AI as bad, and we can look at AI as great and
as a
useful.
tool.
It's a tool, but it's up to us to call it. Right? It's like we have to set that line of going, nope, we're not going to do that. You know, we'll actually shoot that practically because we don't want to wipe out our entire industry. Right. So I think it's up to eventually AI is going to be up to us, or they're going to take us over. So I don't know. It could turn into our worst nightmare. So. But I am friendly with AI.
Okay. I'm friendly with AI too.
So don't send your AI bots after me.
No bots in the comments, please. This summer, we're working on a documentary with the Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
Can you speak on that, or is
course.
that still
all
right?
Yeah.
So talk to me about that. I'm very curious.
Insane.
I enjoy seeing all of the stories
thank you.
that you were posting. Very inspirational.
Thank you. I'm all over the place, right? And I hope people take that as like, you know, you don't have to be molded into one thing.
Absolutely.
You know, you can be over here, do this, and then the next day be over here and do this. But on every aspect, the Dalai Lama documentary was insane. It was, you know, you're in India, which already presents so many different challenges.
Yeah,
culture too.
Yeah, and I'm wearing the hat for the empathy. Empathy and the Pursuit of Joy is the working title of our doc right now. We have an AI component that we're also utilizing in it, which is kind of cool. And also within the doc, I'll tell you, we have a musical component because there's frequencies that can set you into feeling certain things. You know, and so we kind of dive into that, especially with the monks chanting. So anyway, how I kind of fumbled upon this was in Marina. I was at a restaurant, a friend of mine.
Which restaurant, if you don't mind me asking?
Brizo. It's and don't come to my neighborhood, please. It's my little blanket. You can go anywhere else in LA. Leave it alone. It's my little pocket of joy, and I don't want people messing it up.
I like Yard House in Marina Del Rey. One of my favorites.
Okay, so no, we got to change that because Yard House is a chain. Isn't Yard House here?
No, we don't have Yard House.
Okay, all right. We'll enjoy Yard House, but there's other places. Next time you're out there, I'll take you out.
I got you.
So anyway, but I was at Brizo. It's like right across the street from my house. I look. It's kind of cool. I'm equidistant from the beach as I am to the marina. I'm a block on each side. So anyway, I heard this woman, a friend of mine, kind of telling me about how she's going to go on the spiritual journey. And I'm just like, that's, out here.
Yeah.
And I'm very here, right? So anyway, she was telling me about, no, I'm gonna meet the Dalai Lama, and
Wow.
and we're gonna go on this journey to Dharamshala, India. And I was like, I've never been to India. I've been all over the world. I've never been to India. I always wanted to, and the only way I knew I was gonna go is if I was working, right? So it was a really cool moment. The woman had looked at me and she was like, "Hey, you do documentaries? Like, would you go?" And I was like, "Yeah, let me think about just the whole, what you're doing." So it's like kind of like a retreat, right? Yoga and religious retreat and kind of spiritual. It's everything, right? It's whatever the way they phrase it, it's whatever you want, whatever you're looking for, right? Wow. So anyway, we set out. We go to, obviously me. I'm like, let's hop on a plane tomorrow. But so we scheduled the flight month out. I find some internal financing with some people that kind of saw the mission too, and that's just kind of how you get your film going, right? So it was enough for plane tickets and for hotel, and so then I made her an executive producer, and she also worked on the production side, so kind of finding it's called a fixer, right? So somebody that can get you in a car, can drive you around, can introduce you to people, right? Yep. So anyway, the first go around, we get out there, and the Dalai Lama is having knee surgery. So he gets sent to the United States.
So y'all are out there?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Right past each other.
Right? And so just to kind of put it in perspective, you fly from LAX to London, right? That's 9.5 hours. Then you go from London to, you land in Delhi, and that's another 7.5 hours. And then when you're in Delhi, and keep in mind, you're plus 12.5 from Michigan, or plus 9.5 from Michigan, 12.5 from LA. So you're going to the future, right? So you're in Delhi, and then from Delhi, you got to take, I call it the prayer flight, because it's literally an old retired, like 737 that you're praying the whole entire time that it makes it.
Jesus.
And you fly north and you go into the mountains. And Dharamshala is on the other side of the Himalayas from China, right? Wow. And it's where the Tibetans are in exile. So India gave them this piece of land, and they all coexist. It's amazing. You have like Chinese, Tibetans, and Native Indians all in one place. Wow. It's the most incredible, peaceful spot ever, which if you've seen in movies or, you read, India is crazy, like, right? Crazy populated, and it's very interesting, right? The culture's interesting. The people move fast, but they're beautiful people with a rich, deep culture. So it's just like this hodgepodge of amazing, synergies going on. You have like, the locals all honking their horns, but then you have monks like swinging, their beads and walking down the street doing their prayers. So you have this like weird juxtaposition of what's going on in the world. So anyway, we're up there for 2.5 weeks. We get everybody but the Dalai Lama, obviously, because he's in New York having surgery. So we got to meet and interview the prime minister, and we're going through these, all these different. So basically, the Dalai Lama, when he was given the land in exile, he created an arts center first, and then spread out to. They created their own medicine, to farming, they have literally everything, a whole sustainable society up there. So anyway, we shot this beautiful story. We brought it back, pitched it to some people. We had essentially a sizzle. But it was funny because our whole thing was like featuring the Dalai Lama, but
he wasn't there.
He wasn't there. So this past August, we were like, we got to go again, and he's up there, and we know he's up there. And so risk taking, I want to talk about this. We went halfway around the world again, not knowing if we were going to get him again. Because like you can reach out to the Dalai Lama's office, His Holiness's office, but like so is the rest of the world. And so it's like literally trying to get it, like it's just impossible, right? So anyway, second time's a charm. Got there and didn't have any kind of hookup. I mean, we had we had people on the ground. Like at this point, people knew who we were, right? Because it's a very small town on this hill. But beautiful people. Some of my best friends are up there. I mean, they're incredible individuals. But so they were trying to be helpful. But I'll tell you this quick story. We're at a hotel, and they said, hey, we ran out of rooms. We overbooked. Sorry, we have to give your rooms up to somebody else. I have with me $150,000 in gear, which has now gone around the world twice successfully without losing any bags. I'm air tagged up. I got Pelicans. I got everything laid out, right? So anyway, we find a hotel that we've stayed at before that they have 3 rooms open. So we go down there. We go down the hill, right? And I'm sweating. I mean, we went in June the first time, which was excruciatingly hot. And this time it was like 75. So it was great. But I was just, lugging this gear around, right? So I was pissed off, and I'm checking into my room, and all of a sudden, I'm yelling back and forth to me and our friend Kelly, who's doing the composition. He's doing all the music for the film. So we're yelling back and forth in the hallway, and this lady flies out, and she goes, "You're speaking American." And we just start laughing because we're like, yeah, we speak English, right? But she was so thankful, and she was like, yeah, I'm from New Jersey. And so went downstairs and had tea because that's what you do. And we stopped everything. We just had time with her. And so we're talking about our mission that we're doing a documentary, and she goes, "Oh, yeah, I'm here. I'm going to be here for like the next 8 months." And we're like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, like I'm from New Jersey, and, I'm a physician." Wow. And we're like, "Wait, you're a physician and you're staying next to the Dalai Lama's temple, which is like you can see it. It's right down the hill. And you're here for like the next 8 months." I'm like, "Oh, that's recovery. Wait, are you with His Holiness every day?" She goes, "Yes, twice a day."
Oh, wow.
Knew you was going to say that.
And that's how it happened.
That's crazy.
Documentaries are often, the stories behind the documentaries are often better than the documentaries.
True that. Yeah.
So anyway, that was the long story long about how, I got to meet the Dalai Lama. I now know everybody that's close to him. And I'm proud to say in November in Dharamshala, they have a huge film festival. Like, they really do it up for their film festival. It's incredible. It's world-renowned. We're going to go premiere the documentary film. And we're going to do it with His Holiness and his whole entourage.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
It was a blessing. So,
wow,
that's crazy.
It is. It definitely is. Blown away.
I mean, that's why I love documentaries, because they just take you each way. And I love things in all different facets. Like now, because I've been doing documentaries so much, I'm on my 3rd one that I'm wrapping up right now. Now music videos seem kind of exciting again, right? So I can maybe I'll come over here and do that again. Yeah. So like, I guess if you're in my field and you kind of just get burnt out, like my suggestion would be like, try to go beyond, what you're doing right now. And documentaries are a great way, especially when I started in news, working at Wood TV8 when I was 19. That is like, you got to make a story every night, right?
Yes.
In a minute and a half. So just like having that knowledge made me a really, really tight, in my opinion, I think I'm a good documentary filmmaker. So
amazing.
You just put about 5 questions in my head.
Go ahead. I don't have a time restriction. Okay. I know your audience might not want to watch an hour and a half.
All right. Well, I love documentaries too, so I was just gonna ask somebody who makes them, give me like your 5 favorite documentaries that you've ever seen.
I don't know if I can give you my 5.
Or ones that inspired you.
Okay, so I just did one called Anti-Diet Diet Club, right? Mm-hmm. And it's about 6 individuals that collectively lost 1,400 pounds. Really powerful story. And it's funny, I remember what I said, and usually the stories are right in front of you. It's about my buddy David Roden and his community of people. So he lost 200 pounds. We went to grade school together at Forest Hills. And he had lost 200 pounds naturally, and all his friends lost the weight too. So it's a story about how they lost it together. But Super Size Me by Morgan Spurlock, obviously that's like the one you watch at grade school. So anyway, that was like inspiring in the other way, because there's always been documentaries about like this like riveting change, right? Of like somebody getting like healthy or whatever. But nobody ever dove into like the mechanics of like what goes on in your mind, like consistency, you know, like things that like mental, you know, the mental aspect of like how it weighs on you, right? And it's not about your weight, it's about, you know, your mind and shifting your mind. So it kind of like inspired me, I think, you know, hearing my buddy David's story and knowing obviously like Super Size Me, and then he did Super Size Me 2, like the second one. I think like seeing those, I was like, oh, cool. I want to do the opposite of that. And I want to do something that's more introspective and diving into like the mental aspect behind it. So an emotional aspect. So,
And then do you have like, who are your favorite directors that you kind of look to? Who are those people that you look to be like, man, like I want to be like that.
I mean, I don't have like, I hate to like sound cliche, but I don't really have a favorite director.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I have ones that I deeply, you know, am inspired by, Scorsese, and you know, I do have the big director. I'm a big like, if you ask me what am I gonna put on film wise, if I'm watching Netflix or something, I'm like I just blew through 3. I did all 3, the trilogy of The Godfather on Paramount Plus. And then they have The Offer, which is the documentary. It's like you know, it's a story, a fictional story about how they made The Godfather, and it's arguably almost as good as The Godfather.
Really?
Itself.
So
yeah. I mean, directors. I mean, I have
Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah,
right?
that was Coppola. So yeah, but you know, obviously any Scorsese, I'm watching. And Clint Eastwood, being from Michigan, and he's wrapping up actually at his amazing age. He's wrapping up his last film. So, yeah, you know, I don't have a favorite director. I think I'm just deeply inspired by and I think that's attributed to like because I'm all over the place.
Yep.
I don't think I like stick in one genre. Like I see a lot of people sometimes do that where they're like their stuff looks like their stuff, but it looks like stuff that they admire. And I don't, you know, I don't ever want to be boxed in. I'm inspired by everybody. I mean, I'll watch like anime. I'll watch for the story. Like, you know what's so crazy? I didn't see what's the artist that has the animation? I forget his name. Pursuit of Happiness. He sings Pursuit of Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah. What's his face? I don't know why I can't think of him right now.
He got an anime?
No, yeah. What's the artist? Why am I thinking the rapper? Kid Cudi.
Kid
Oh yeah, Kid Cudi. Yeah.
I just had a
when
mental.
When you to the movie he just did.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Isn't that
I
amazing?
love that movie.
What's the name of it?
What's the name of that movie? When it was Kid Cudi and he's working as a designer.
Yeah, Timothy Chalamet was in it.
Remember we watched it. He was in love with that girl.
I've seen the preview.
Yeah, anyway, I saw that, and like that was like incredible, and that was John. What was it? Intergalactic. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, that was a huge mental lapse. But Johnny, my co-director, was like, "Yo, you've never seen this?" He was like going off on me in his house. He was like, "You're gonna sit here and watch this whole thing?" I was like, "Yo, this is dope." Like this made me want to do like an animation. So like because I'm not maybe one thing, I'm inspired by all things.
You just want to create.
So yeah, I just want to create.
And I'm glad you said you don't have a favorite director, because I feel like when people ask me that, like, oh man, like, you know, what director inspires you or who's your favorite? Like you said, I'm inspired by everything. You know, I'm inspired by how the cinematographer did this, or how the stylist decided to put that red sweatshirt on. You know, it's just so many different pieces that goes into filmmaking, and and I feel like that's why it's so hard for me to say, oh, you know, Scorsese. It's hard for me to just.
Spike Jonze is obviously like a clear influence,
Spike Lee,
because he started in commercial and then transitioned. But yeah, I mean, I think because of the way I started was really mechanical. Like I started like when I first moved to LA, my job was being a prep tech. So what I did is I prepped cameras at camera rental houses for big DPs, director of photography. So I think like I was just more hands-on, and like I know lensing, and I was more inspired about the people that were coming in and why they were choosing to, like one really dope thing that happened when I was at the rental house was I saw somebody tell a period piece based on lenses and cameras. So like their lenses and cameras matched the era. And I thought that was so cool. You know, like that to me is just like, You know, like there's so many different ways to tell a story. So
Right.
I think I'm just inspired by other people that I'm seeing. Obviously, you know, there's big names, but sometimes for me, like they're too big, right? That it's not tangible for me to understand. So like the state that I'm in, you know, like how, you know, who's around me, you know, and to be honest, it's like my friends inspire me. So
Yes, dope.
Yeah.
Amazing. No. You have anything else?
Yeah. So I'll say, I try to always find a question that's definitely morphed around like who you are. So, I definitely think like me being a musician, but I'm also love film, and then now this is all about storytelling. Like I just want to tell good stories.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, give me 5 keys to telling a great story.
5 keys to telling a great story. Well, it's got to come from your heart, and I think that's the biggest one. If you don't believe in it, how is anybody else going to believe in it? I think you got to own it. One thing I think I believe that I'm good at is being a kind of like a catalyst, right? Like a pass through for the story. So I feel like too many people insert themselves into stories, and it's like we get lost on whose story we're telling. Right. So, you know, like if I'm in the trenches of St. Thomas, I'm telling the people of St. Thomas, I'm telling their story. Right. Which I have a lot of amazing people that reside in St. Thomas. So shout out to the island. But I think, you know, like, and like if I'm in India, right, and I'm doing this doc with the Dalai Lama, I'm going to tell the story of the Tibetan people. So I think really removing yourself, that's like the biggest one. Removing yourself, obviously have your heart into it, but, you know, be a catalyst for that story. Don't make it about you seeing whatever you're seeing through that lens. So yeah, you pay me for my eye, but, you know, you already did the layup. The story's there. You know, I just happen to love you enough and love the story enough to be able to lend myself to the project. So, I don't know if I have all 5, but that's the one.
Huge one. That's a huge
that's
one.
the one.
Yeah, that's enough for all. I mean,
That's
3
the
was
one.
great. 3
Yeah.
was great.
Yep.
So yeah, thank you.
Yep. Of course.
Let's talk about Grand Rapids Cranes 40 under 40.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. You want to know this one right off the bat?
I want to know right off the bat.
I got the eviction notice for Black Pigeon Studios the same night that I got the.
Oh, that's crazy.
That is crazy. Talk about a bipolar feeling.
Right. What?
Wow. So I mean, I enjoyed it. You know, it was fun. I'm thankful that I got the notoriety. I think it's great to get recognition. It was a fun night. You know, I think I did some cool thing. I got the opportunity to do some cool things. That was a cool recognition of that. But yeah, that other flip side of the coin was kind of like, hey, what is it if I get the award, but then, you know, we're being evicted? So, which, by the way, we did pay the landlord. I'm glad that all the media just destroyed us for doing something good in the community. But yeah, shout out to all the news stations that popped off and completely destroyed us. It sure makes you want to do something again.
I didn't know that they did that.
Oh man, some of them I used to work for.
I'm about to say it was Woody.
Not saying anything. It's a podcast, so I'll give you something.
I go.
I mean, look, like if you're trying to do something good, and obviously everybody needs to be paid, and you should definitely pay your debts. But like, you should see some of these businesses that are like past due on rent. I mean, we were delinquent like a month, and then we paid it, and then we went to court, and because we went to court, it was technically filed as delinquent, but it's water under the bridge now.
Yes, it's
Literally.
A lot more going on in the world now.
Yeah.
But it's not going to stop us from doing something. And I also would say this too, like, you know, if you run into blockades, just try to, there's a lot of things as a business owner that you need to learn how to, and that was the best thing for me, is taking it on the chin, right? And owning it, because it's not your employees. It's not the people helping you. We didn't even have employees. We had family that helped us. And like, we took everything on the chin, together, some of which they didn't even need to, and they did. So, you know, it was a blessing we got to do it, but like, don't let that harden your heart and stop you from doing the mission. You know what I mean? Don't get up on Facebook and say, you know, your piece. You might feel bitter in the moment, but hindsight's 2020. I think now, like, you being active in the community and leading on legislation, and that just got shut down too. We didn't go up for a vote, which was unfortunate, but that doesn't stop our mission, right?
Absolutely.
So there's kids that they have no say over what goes on, and all they need to do is maybe see some of you trying, and that's just good enough. Just you trying is good enough.
Amazing, incredible. For 2025, I know you got a big opportunity you was just telling us about, but as far as things that you can tell us, what does 2025 look like for you in Black Pigeon Studios?
It looks like hanging out with my buddy Johnny Ray a lot.
Shout out Johnny Ray.
Johnny Ray. That's my brother, man. So just developing. Developing television, film, working with some agencies right now to get some stuff sold. So that's always good. Got 3 pieces of IP right now, 3 different documentaries that are all in the distribution or selling phase, which is a beautiful thing. Biggest thing is we're finishing projects and getting them out. And I think that's part of the creative, problem maybe is that you get stuck in a project and you don't get to see it all the way through. So it's been a blessing. We're seeing projects all the way through. And so it looks like a lot of film next year. Looks like a lot of television. Really hoping that we get to do something in Michigan. So
that'd be nice.
Really, really would love
Definitely.
to work with everybody out here. And it's, and everybody deserves it out here, So hoping we can push more out here, even if it's not my projects, somebody else's.
Absolutely. Yeah. One more question, kind of way backtrack. I was listening to Cole Bennett the other day, and tell us about a bunch of huge projects that's never coming to the light of day. Do you have any projects like that? Music videos or shorts?
I got everything.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't talk about that side much because it kind of is looked at as like a failure, right? Like kind of just forever tainted. A cool thing that got to happen was there was a Maya video that we went to Jamaica twice to make.
Wow.
Literally went there, came back, and then sat on the project for 4 years and went out and shot it and came back. And it's out. It's with Bounty Killer. It's called Wine. But we did that in Kingston, which was beautiful. The people there are absolutely amazing. But I got to see that one through. That was my one win where I was like, cool, a project I thought that was going to be shelved for sure saw the light of day. So, yeah, it happens a lot. It's unfortunate. Even worse is like a project that you're working on, like when you get into like distribution and selling and like acquisition of projects, when you start to see like television film and how things are slated, things can just get pigeonholed and like die forever. Wow. So like
after they've been fully created.
So I've got it pretty good. I would say like I have a good track record and I've got to see most of my art see the light of day. But yeah, it does happen and it is unfortunate. It's not talked about a lot, but it's a very unfortunate thing. You know, because you work your hardest on something and then just to see it not see the light of day, and you want to brag about it, on Instagram. So
I just had a moment like that recently, like in the past couple of weeks, something dropped, and I thought it was about to be incredible next year, and I'm like, it's done. And I'm just like, that's
just giving way to. It hurts now, but it's giving way to more beautiful things to develop for you. So don't even worry about that.
Yeah. You got anything you want to say in closing?
Good, brother. I appreciate you coming.
So every episode. We give away a bottle of vodka from our sponsor, Stock the Bar Vodka, which is a local.
I just had their vodka at the beer and wine show.
We was there.
That's crazy. I didn't know you was in town.
I randomly was in town, so I got to stock. Shout out to Stock the Bar.
Shout out to Stock the Bar. So each episode, from the sponsor, we give away a bottle of vodka just to highlight and just to, give something to every risk taker that we have on each episode.
Oh, this is incredible.
Just like to present this to you, my brother.
Shout out to them. Their vodka is really good. I had it with I want to say it was with lemonade.
Oh, we was just, oh my God. That's the best mixture, man.
Best mixture.
Yeah, shout out to them.
AC Hotel is the only bar in Grand Rapids Award. I've been all around the world. They got fresh mixers. So when you get a vodka lemonade, fresh lemonade with a beautiful, beautiful tasting vodka that's distilled 6 times. So make sure y'all go grab it.
And local.
And local. Black owned. So, my brother, I appreciate you coming.
so much.
It's been amazing.
Thank you so much. Pleasure. Yeah.
And we out.
Yeah.